today by our friends at Whole Foods Market. And on Planet Earth yesterday, Bruce Arian, the head coach of the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers, posted the picture of that tattoo and wrote, "I'm a man of my word. Whoa. When we win the Super Bowl, I will get a tattoo. I got mine, and I love it." And so I will simply ask, it's great for Bruce, I will ask Teddy, you won a bunch of Super Bowls with Bill. Do you know, did Bill ever get a tattoo after you guys won a championship?
No, that's not a sort of Belichick thing to do. And that right there, that's more skin than I've ever seen of Bill Belichick's skin. So, no, that's not something that I would really think that's something Bill would do. Absolutely not.
To clarify on that, if I may, because I'm a journalist and I have to follow up on something like that, Mike Tannenbaum has mentioned on this program many times that he and Bill Belichick have sauna'd together. We've turned that into a verb on this show. Have you ever sauna'd with Bill?
Oh my God.
No sauna, not even steam. I stay far away. Coaches have their own locker room, and it's a good thing because there's some people you just don't want to see with their shirts off.
Fair enough. Diana, quick thought. Bruce Arians gets the tattoo. What do you think? Diana, I've bewildered you. Bruce Arians gets the tattoo. What do you think?
You know what? I was thinking of the image of Bill in a sauna, and I was kind of grossed out by it all. You know what? Actually, my first thought was when I saw that tattoo was Teddy's good friend, Mike Vrabel, who, remember last year or 2 years ago, said what he would be willing to do if he won a Super Bowl. Maybe Coach Vrabel should take a little tip from Bruce and just go with the tattoo and not get rid of any body parts. So good for Bruce Arians, though, man. Keeping the band together and sticking with his word.
All right, let me try and segue out of this as gracefully as I can. Both of you sit tight because you're hilarious. Let me run the floor with the college basketball action last night. On the women's side, South Carolina coach Dawn Staley has brought that team back to the Final Four for the third time in the past 6 years. The Gamecocks defense was suffocating last night in a 62-34 Elite Eight win over Texas. So on they go. Elsewhere last night with Russell Wilson in attendance, the number 1 seed Stanford Cardinal knocked off the 2 seed Louisville to advance to the Final Four. Wilson's sister Anna hit a clutch 3 in the fourth quarter to help the Cardinal advance with her famous brother in attendance to watch and cheer. And a reminder that once again we will have the NCAA Women's Final Four on ESPN and always on the ESPN app. Friday, South Carolina takes on Stanford in the first game. That's at 6 Eastern. Then Arizona, UConn in the second game. All of the action at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, and all of it, as always, available on the ESPN app. Coming up, the CEO of the Packers facing questions about Aaron Rodgers' future. It's what he didn't say that will raise your eyebrows. Ryan Clark will weigh in. He'll join this party next. Get up on ESPN.
He does everything for your organization. If you gotta fix relationships, then fix relationships. But that's something that Pete Carroll has to focus on because this is a definite key.
I love it. All right, next one, we go to the Jets and Sam Darnold. Do you keep him or do you trade him?
Well, I'm going to go trade here with Sam because he still has some potential at the quarterback position. But if you got your quarterback tagged to get with that high draft pick, then it's like you have so many things you can build. And you can build with draft picks if you get rid of him. You can also maybe get another player out of it. It is a quarterback. Teams are desperate. They want to develop him. I would say trade Sam Darnold, see what you can get.
Okay, and then the last one is Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. Now that they've moved up, do we trade him or do we keep him?
Man, I would say trade also for Jimmy Garoppolo. Of course, the number 3 overall pick. You don't do that for linebackers or linemen or anything like that. You do that for a quarterback. I don't know how that quarterback room would do. Jimmy would say to himself, listen, I brought this team to a Super Bowl. I'm the man. How's it going to go in that room with him? So if you need more pieces and the price is right, that's going to be the thing. The price has to be right. I would say you move Garoppolo.
All right, that's a really interesting one. Let me bring Diana in on that one as well here. Diana Rossini's gotten up with us early, tape, because all signs when it comes to Jimmy G all tend to point back to Foxborough. We believe Bill has always liked him. And so if I'm doing the math, 49ers trading up to 3 equals Jimmy Garoppolo going back to the Patriots. Am I doing the math right?
Yeah, it's good math, and it makes a lot of sense. Not that Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots ever reveal what they're doing, so sometimes it makes you scratch your head a little bit like, this makes too much sense. There's no way they would let us all know about this. But I've talked to a bunch of people in the league about this, and it just, enough people I trust have told me that the Patriots' interest in Jimmy Garoppolo has been consistent. This has got to be more of San Francisco willing to make the deal, and of course New England having the right amount of picks and the money to get Jimmy to bring him back. And that's really what it's going to come down to it. From what I can gather in terms of talking to other people around the league as well, in terms of what they think the Patriots are going to do, most believe they're going to go quarterback come this draft.
Yeah, and that becomes interesting because their pick is 15, and it feels less and less like one of the big quarterbacks will be available. So again, Teddy, as Diana mentions, no one really knows what Bill is going to do, but you know him as well as anybody. So what is your sense? Do you believe he goes out and brings back Jimmy Garoppolo?
Well, now that San Francisco is even talking about the price has to be right, I would say absolutely not, because that price is going to be high. It's going to be a high draft pick. They may want players, any of that. And for me, that goes against everything that Bill Belichick is, to pay a high price for a player that has poor durability. And I could just hear him thinking right now, why would I give all of that for a player that I don't even know is going to play 16 games? You know, and that's just business and how you talk behind the scenes. I know he has faith in Garoppolo and loved Jimmy when he was here, but I can't mortgage my team or sacrifice my philosophy of building a team for overpaying for a quarterback who I don't know is going to be available for me an entire football season.
Yes, again, a reminder that it is now 17 games, so it's even worse than you say. Garoppolo has missed 45% of the games since he got to San Francisco. That's a fact. He's missed 45% of the games with injury, Diana.
Yeah, and Greeny, you heard Kyle Shanahan, who does a really incredible job of being transparent. He's one of my favorite coaches to cover because he'll just tell you what he's thinking. And he kept pointing to the fact that durability is their issue with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not his play on the field. And GM John Lynch put it out there as well. For the right price, they'd be willing to deal Jimmy G. So it's not off the table. It's just right now the plans, and they're saying all the right things. Jimmy's on this team, he's on the roster, he's going to be part of our plans. But if the right team, perhaps a desperate team, comes in, San Francisco would be willing to strike a deal.
It's a fascinating...
Yeah, and guys...
Go ahead, Teddy.
Yeah, let me say this really quick. I mean, of all the activity that the New England Patriots have had over this offseason, of the signing of the defensive players and the offensive players and the tight ends, these are multi-year contracts with this year in mind, next year in mind, the year after that. There's only one free agent that's signed that's only a one-year contract deal, and that's Cam Newton. So is Bill looking to go with Cam Newton right now and just go with it and then build and get this team better for next year is when he makes his play for his quarterback? That's something to consider also.
Yeah, it's going to be really fascinating to watch what they wind up doing. There's Cam, of course, who had an up-and-down season last year, but now would have an opportunity to be there for a full preseason and training camp, and maybe it goes markedly better, and we'll see what Belichick decides that he wants to do. In the meantime, I wanted to get Teddy's perspective on something.